morning, everybody. So, while people are coming, few little announcements. I have some books today of on the rainbow body. $20 cash, no checks. Huh? If you want to buy one. Books, $20. Books. Thank you so much. It's really a great book. And if you don't have the money today, if you want the book, you can pay me next week if you want to be reading it on the rainbow body. So let's close our eyes. We'll go into awareness a little bit. Then also this Saturday we'll have the Kini Day, but many people here have had those formal empowerments of the Togao. We had that at Heidi's house a couple of years ago, and Rinjin Dorje gave it was the most exquisite course. And then for a year or two we gazed in the darkness here, burnt out the computer because we had curtains around it. A few things went on, and we did a lot of gazing in the more formal way. Then we've been shifting to gazing into the immediacy of our own life just as it is. Sort of the city way. There's the natural way, there's the country way, and there's the city way. I don't get out much, so it's the city way. But we're gonna start this Saturday. I'm gonna have maybe an hour or 2 hours of the transmission. I'll put the CD on that Skip exquisitely took, and then I may wind up doing it again Sunday. Let me just see what's going on scheduling. If not, then I will either give it to Elizabeth to do it or Skip to do it, that we have the whole thing done by the time Taiso comes, that you hear formal teachings on the Togao practices, okay? And you also have the empowerment, okay? A-okay? Makes sense? But it's up to you to stretch a bit to try and you can come online also, as you know. It's online. And when it's at Elizabeth's place, it'll be online, probably Thursday nights at Skip's. And if he does it, it'll be on the Zoom. Okay? Sounds okay? And this is from the person who did the Flight of the Garuda, with the great Dzogchen text. And then the text on the Togao is called The Golden Spoon. The Golden Spoon. Really very great time when he would come here. He came here many, many times, and then we started having trouble getting him to come here because he can't leave India because of it's hard to get passports and things like that. It'd be great to have him come back again. He's really wonderful. His dad came here first. That's one announcement. I think we're just about filled for Sunday. We're limited to 50. If you haven't signed up, please let me know if you want to come to that. The Wednesday is going to be on Dzogchen itself and the light and the rainbow body. And then on Sunday, it'll be more the influence of the Gnostic tradition. So it'll be that mixture on Sunday. So it'll be two different programs. Won't be a repetition of the same thing. And then Friday morning, he'll have a practice where he will be doing practices of the light. He's also very happy to come here and get some money because he's actually has opened up. He does the refugee work in Italy for all the refugees. He's a very service-oriented person. I have a books here for those who are just coming in from TISO, $20 books. Hello? $20. If you'd like to read the book, want to read the book, just give me $20 or give me $20 next week, okay? The other announcement was really great being with Lama Norla at the monastery. I would almost say the new monastery because it's opened up and it's quite exquisite. Vast amount of power there. Taisa was fantastic. Maybe we'll lower all that music. Laura, could you lower the music? And Lama Norla would love to come back here, which I'm happy to do, and invite him to come back here. But honest to God, him traveling in that car 7 hours, you with me, and his he's always strong, no matter how sick he is. He moves through that. But I think I would like us to go up there. You with me? And they've now, I've met some of the monks there, the Franciscan monks, and I think it's a little too. It's a little too ringy-dingy. The little thing on the fourth side. If you could lower that just a little bit for the Lord, the room, and. If you'd like to go up there sometime, it's not a big deal. You can either stay at the ashram or there's a Franciscan monastery that's very often not filled up in walking distance. They also serve martinis at 5 o'clock as Franciscan. Huh? Yeah, I had a private conversation. It's the Franciscan monastery. Right? They're a wonderful, wonderful group, okay? And you can stay there, have your private bathroom and things like that. And so, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So think about that, and either he could come here, but I just think it might be more powerful to go there. Okay.
So would we all go together? Is that what you're?
People get there any way they could, but would show up to the same time. Would have the same time. Would have like a retreat. Are you with me? And he would probably teach some of it, or it'd be worked out. We don't need a lot of support, but to be there, and Lama Norla would come give some transmission, some topic. But I'd just like not to have him have to do so much stuff.
It'd be a weekend or a week?
It'd be a weekend probably. That's what I'm thinking, okay? And so you guys think about it. What I do need is intention. Now, intention doesn't mean you're committed to go there, because 5 people can do it as happily as 20. You with me? And then I would write Jamdron and see what we can do. You with me? And you could also bring some other body out. I also just go as this. I'm thinking, it makes me no difference. I'm just thinking whatever people want and what they can do. I know they're having a rest right now. They've had so much stuff.
Right.
But it's quite exquisite. It's really fantastic, and we'll do that. One of the books, I'm just chatting earlier. This is actually a great book by the third Karmapa, the Mahamudra prayer, and it's written by Taisitu. And the Mahamudra, the third Karmapa, it's a picture. As you come down, that little statue, that little strange-looking there's a picture as you come down. As you come down the steps, you see it right there. There's Amma. Amma's right there. As you come down the steps, looks like a statue. That's the third Karmapa. And the third Karmapa was quite a brilliant person, character. And he integrated Dzogchen Mahamudra. And this book is a book on the Mahamudra, but it has a Dzogchen framing of ground and things like that. So I like this. It's more. So this is a great book. Everybody's having a good time. And then we have the Rainbow Body. Here's a book by Namkhe Norbu on the Rainbow Body too. It's actually a great book. His uncle, There are many different lineages within Dzogchen. So there's the Dzogchen tradition, but it's really the lineage where it's a person-to-person thing.
Can you share the second one again?
The rainbow body.
Thank you.
I think the more you know about this stuff before you hear this person talk, the better you'll be able to participate. The three,
Tiso's book or those?
I'd read Tiso's book. This is the one you want to read.
I get, three. Can I pay you next?
You can pay me next week, no problem.
I think we're gonna take 3 here.
Okay, great. Then you guys can pay next week, okay? Now, that's the book you want to read. It's an excellent book on Dzogchen, and it's a comparative thinking book. Because when you think comparatively, whatever it is, whatever tradition you're in, you actually start thinking. If you're not thinking comparatively in a certain way, you're not thinking, huh? And you're just like taking it in. It's like being in a catechism class. And when you're in a catechism class, it's really great. But if you happen to remember being in catechism class, it never went below your brain. You with me? And so you don't. It's only if you think and integrate that something becomes part of actually the non-conceptual aspect of our own awareness, right? And then it's really you. Unless it's you, it's just something else you believe in. Great. So I'm really happy how everything's going. We're having a great time. Let's extend to each other. I'm going to turn the program on now. So we've been focusing on the text. All right. We've been focusing the past couple. We've been focusing almost this summer on expanding our understanding of the Sambhogakaya dimension and expanding our understanding of the apparitional dimension, but also understanding the Sambhogakaya as the elementalness of energy and light, and trying to work with each other at this level. And then we had some periods of sharing, because there's no one way, right? There's no one formulation of this experience. And before we go into that, I'll start then, I'm going to jump a little bit more ahead into an invocation. So I think last week we invoked the white Tara as an expression. Did we do that last week? The white Tara as an expression of the great compassion and the long life and the healing of how to learning to actually, as it says, eat the air. That's how at the end of the statement, Kunzen Dechen Leaper is called eating the air, right? You guys remember that, sort of? So I'm going to now do the other side of compassion, because one side of compassion is the extending of benevolence, right? And we'll go into. I'm just going to read this here and jump ahead. So at the end of this, I'll talk. So the light of the inner heart essence of awareness is often symbolized by the light of the moon and the light of the sun, and this is the symbolization of the dimensions of the light within us. This is the light. This light is the light of the great compassion, huh? And the great compassion, as we know, is not a simplistic sentiment or even simply an empathetic moment, as in the statement, I feel your pain. Think of Bill saying that. But rather, compassion is the light of awareness manifesting beneficence within one's own self and with the self of others, huh? And the compassionate beneficence is of two dimensions. One dimension is the compassion of pure love, the love of the mother, the motherly love of the moonlight, which is given from one person to another or to many. And this is maternal love and the source of humanness. Huh? Without this, there's no humanness. And you see, all this is naturalistic, right? So the compassionate transmission actually invokes a beatific experience within person or persons. So the maternal compassionate transmission invokes the beatific experience within babies. Huh? And all this is natural. Huh? You don't have to have a course. And this is the life and the gaze of the great compassion. So the luminous light of awareness as the sun burning bright, huh, is the protective dimension of the great compassion. And this light protects humanness. The light of compassionate protection is the blazingness which destroys obscurations within a person's mind or within our minds and within a person's embodiment and brings forth self-liberation. The blazing light of the compassionate inner heart essence also can at times destroy circumstances that are evil meaning causing suffering, right, as we explored, and the destructive of human goodness and the life of innocence. The fierce light of compassion dissolves circumstances that bring forth unbearable cruelty and suffering. The fierce light of compassion dissolves and destroys the manifestations of those beings who are bringing forth such unbearable pain. The fierce fire of the light of the inner heart essence undoes such beings and disintegrates their manifestation and liberates them from their own darkness and cruelty. This light infuses behavior and infuses the experience of action. The fierce light of the heart of awareness provides and is the courage of dharmic action and the unbound self-sacrifice for the love of others. Thus the great compassion is both the source of courage and is courage itself. Courage is self-luminosity. That's how these things are often expressed in the Dzogchen tradition. Unhappily, the contemporary understanding of compassion is often seen as a sentiment, or even a simplistic affect, or even a form of good manners or graceful speech, or a wish. Such compassionate understanding as the statement, "do no harm," is also unhappily used to dismantle this protective light of the great compassion. Simplistic understanding of do no harm creates an unbound cultural passivity that allows the innocent to be murdered and tortured. The invocations of passivity and non-action create the terrible ground for sadomasochistic thrills and drama. The luminous courage of the compassion and actual protection is covered over and obscured by weak forms of personal and collective character that collaborate with and encourage spiritual masochism. And much of this is from the first semester where we spent a lot of time on the Vajrakalaya practices that were being taught by Lama Torchen, if you have participated in that. So in that light, I want to read the Dujo Drulo practice, invocation. Now we're not praying to Dujo Drulo, help me. We're invoking that dimension within ourself to have that action, that power, that archetypical dimension come through us in our circumstances in our life. You with me? Doesn't mean you don't honor it at its different dimensions, but it's not simply out there. And by it being in here, it's not in my mind either, just a little fabrication of my mind alone. Again, as the word mind has many different meanings in Tibetan Buddhism, and a lot of the enigmas make a real big distinction between mind and awareness, sems and semde. It's often very confused, so you can get looking up and thinking everything is just a function of your mind alone. It is a manifestation of awareness alone, which is both my mind, you, me, my body, and everything. You guys follow that? So, Dorje Drolo, the fierce form, and Rinchen Dorje gave that empowerment here also one time, the Dorje Drolo empowerment. So I'm going to focus on this right You guys lean into me, and I will do a better job. Welcome to the empowerment and the practice of Dorje Drulo. Maybe this is not the empowerment. Okay, I'll read this part. That is an introduction to the empowerment. Empowerments are of great importance in the Vajrayana tradition. Empowerments are transmissions that both support us energetically and also instruct us to perform practices that invoke and lead us into primordial awareness. These deities' practices describe the cosmological qualities of consciousness and lead us to the embodiment of the archetypal qualities of this multi-dimensional awareness field, the kayas. Say yes if that's making sense. These practices are not simply psychological stories or narratives or myths. Rather, they are metaphors that directly invoke and lead us into the non-conceptual, pre-reflective, or pre-logical dimensions of consciousness. They're highly symbolic and they invoke what they portray. They're iconic in nature. The empowerment and practices that come from these empowerments help us to bring forth within our own self, in our own experience, this experience of primordial luminous awareness, which is so pervasive and so infinite in its horizons. They are dramas of the manifestation of awareness in symbolic language. They are the dramas of the manifestation of awareness in symbolic language. And Dorje Drulo is an empowerment that assists us in bringing forth the experience of the primordial guru, which is the self-revealing luminosity of our own innate and unbound awareness, unbound consciousness, uncontained, it's uncontracted. That's why it has a dramatic quality to it at times. The empowerment and corresponding practice helps us bring forth the vortexual intensity of the innate awareness, increasing our capacity to dissolve negative states of mind within our own self and consequent situations that block and negate our experience of the radiant luminosity. The empowerment is considered to be the wrathful side of Guru Padmasambhava, who symbolizes and expresses the primordial function of self-revelation, self-manifestation, and self-illumination. The ability to work with and within one's own intensity and the intensity of this world is necessary to live in the realization of consciousness. It's a cosmological trip, eh? So, of course, we're very fortunate to have the Dzogchen master, Rinzin. Oh, it's an introduction. I didn't actually prepare well for today. So here, Rinzin Dorje, who is the lineage bearer of the Kunzang Dzogchen lineage. His father was the most amazing and wonderful Terma Guru, who revealed many empowerment texts. This text is one of his revelations. Kunzang Dzogchen Lingpa was uneducated and lived a life as an orphan, and yet these remarkable texts would flow through him with the most beautiful and powerful language. And he received recognition from the great Dzogchen master Dorje Rinpoche as a true and rare Terma Guru. So you and I are fortunate to have such a direct connection both to the lineage and the transmission of the original teachings. Let's see here. Do you have the text? That'd be great. Thanks. Is that the one I transliterated? That's great. Thank you so much, because I don't have it here. A practice of Dorje Drulo, a practice that invokes the fierceness of the primordial guru. So we'll all focus in. Thanks. So I embrace the nature of my own awareness, which is primordial awareness itself. Unbound openness, which is the nature of compassion and spacious illumination. And out of the intensity of compassion for myself and others, I'm able to act. I'm able to act. I am able to act. And I invoke the fierceness. We just press that off. Thanks. And I invoke the fierceness of this fiery light of dissolving and voiding of anger and the rage of impotency and my own self, and dissolving even the trace of victimization. Dissolving even the trace of victimization, huh? Those traces, the traces. As the Haruka, and actually the essence of the word is bringing light. As the Haruka of inherent pure awareness, we might say vehicle of inherent pure awareness, and free of all conceptual thought, free of destructive states of self-negation and self-stupidity, I'm able to act and cut through various dimensions of obstructive spirit that are delusive for myself and others. And directly perceiving this Haruka of the primordial ground, this archetype of the primordial ground, I'm able, and perceive doesn't mean see, perceive means experience, right? Perceive does not mean seeing. Some of us are not seers, but we are experiencing. Direct perceiving of this Haruka of primordial ground, I'm able to act through direct perception and understand the character of the various situations that manifest in the oneness of awareness and from within the base of luminous awareness. I am able to act decisively with courage and able to cut through whatever has to be cut through in order to be free from fixation and unending states of stuckness and repetitious preoccupation. In the blazing fire of wisdom gnosis, I invoke the presence of the Guru, which is the presence of primordial awareness manifesting in myself as myself. In my heart is the luminous sphere, SPHRE, as bright as the sun, circling this light of the mantra Hum, Hum, Hum. And through Hum, everything dissolves into this innermost luminosity. And through Pet, 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 whatever has to be dissolved is dissolved. Having become the fierce archetypal power, I have the voice of Dojadrulo, the fierceness of subduing the demonic in myself and in situations around me. I become fearless and live in courage and the integrity of the primordial pure awareness field. And thus so, I live in bliss, and I am fearful of no one or anything. I live in the space of oneness beyond intellectual redundancy, and I love the company of the fearless and fierce companions of the blazing powers of luminosity. The Harukas and the Dakinis of the archetypal dimension of this wonderful and amazing field of consciousness. And in their protection, I live in this life and in life after life. I consistently take refuge in the awareness free of duality, and the refuge field dissolves into my own self as my own self. And within this state of fierceness and intensity, all anger and hatred is severed and dissolved. So I become free. And in the center of this blazing space that I am arises the blue bindu. And from this sphere, SPHRE, light rays of burning brilliance radiates forth. And the blue Hung is the essence of the life force. And this purifying light radiates into infinite horizons, illuminating experience. It doesn't just dissolve experience, it illuminates experience. It unpacks experience. It allows the invisible to become visible, right? The luminous light of awareness brings forth transparency, translucidity, to the appearances both within and without. And within my being, I experience the vortexual intensity of this innate awareness, increasing my capacity to dissolve negative states of mind and the consequent situations that block and dim the experience of radiant luminosity. That's what they mean by obscurations. The fierce intensity of awareness allows me to integrate the wildness of my mind, and the expanding innermost light allows me to meet the ever-unfolding dramatic karma and ever-unfolding events of this world, which is brilliantly terrifying forms of appearance and spaciousness. I'm dealing with terror. Living both in timeless awareness and time, that's the essence. Living both in timeless awareness and in time, I become the universal person who never moves from bliss and spaciousness. I become Heruka, the person who is able to act decisively out of compassion and meet the situation as it is. I know that everything is the expanse of knowingness of the three kayas, and I'm able to experience nature as it is. Oma Hung Vadaguru Siri Hung. Oma Hung Vadaguru Siri Hung. I embrace the primordial and indestructible Guru whose blessings I invoke for myself and others. The other forms, and I'll read another form next week. We'll just hold that for a few minutes, huh? So we're going to pick up this paper a little bit more now. We would pick the luminous conjunctio, and it's on gazing, but gazing with the whole body, huh? We don't just we gaze, we perceive with our whole body. We breathe through the whole body. We feel through the whole body. We extend through the whole body. We receive through the whole body. Yen Chin would call it the full body breath in his teachings, right? As our open focus of awareness unfolds within, we experience our embodied attunement to the three different kayas, the three different dimensions. We can experience the directness of embodied luminosity and translucidity happening. Radiance is the swift path of awareness, and is the swift path of the translucidity of indivisibleness. And that's another way of talking about the Togao practices. So in Dzogchen, there's forms of that there is the focus on cutting through and opening up phenomena to experience the spaciousness and the light of phenomena. But the real leap, the real power, is working with the intensity of the radiance itself. Say yes if you're following what I'm saying, okay? And that's why it's considered the quick path, in which it is. So most surprisingly, the luminous conjunctio with another human being opens the unfolding of the multi-leveled different dimensions of primordial awareness of the ground. The mysterious conjunctio. There's this opening of being within the ordinary experience of Nirmanakaya, and the opening of the archetypal dimension of Sambhogakaya, and actually the opening of our experience of our foundational condition, or real condition, as the Dharmakaya dimension, this light of potentiality, pure potentiality. So this is a direct way of experiencing the radiant practice of Togao in a contemporary time and place. This is the path of the city dweller, the luminous life in the crowd. You may have noticed that, right? The classical Dzogchen method is sky gazing, using 3 different gazes and 3 different postures. In Dzogchen, there are many empowerments for gazing, such as the flight of the Garuda and the golden spoon. There is the cutting through phenomena, which is the method of opening up of phenomena. It's like, does that, right? It's one practice we've had many times, right? and it opens. You can feel it opening. You can cut through mind. You can cut through obsessive states. You can actually open situations. And we'll also, after we finish this, we'll start playing Lama Wanderer's teachings on this practice, okay? And Elizabeth and Skip will be doing that. So with the light of awareness, I'm sorry, blah blah. So there's a cutting through phenomena, which is the method of opening up the phenomena to experience the light of phenomena, as well as the method of leaping into the embodiment of the light. This is the leaping practice. You're freeing yourself to enter into the radiance, the light completely, huh? These are so-called cutting through and leaping into respectively. And these sky-gazing methods are the luminous path of nature. You with me? Into subjective resonance. Rather than gazing at the sun or the moon or the sky, which is great if you can, we gaze within each other through the radiance of awareness and through the extension of awareness. And through the light of awareness, self-liberation arises. This gazing is not with eyes alone, but our whole embodiment, our embodied gaze. This is best exemplified by the archetypal image of Avalokiteshvara, with his 1,000 eyes pervasive through the bodies, right there. And the inner light of the body resonating and experiencing and viewing the light of the embodied awareness within one's own body. You always have to start someplace, right? And the light within the embodiment of others. We can do that right now. And even the embodiment of light as things and objects, right? Cars, paintings, art, buildings, even through the light of things, right? Objects, filled. You know, hammer. Heidegger has one on the hammer. The hammer. The tools. So Dzogchen is a metaphor of Rigpa, which is becoming aware of awareness. This is a metaphor in later Heideggerian phenomenology. And later Heideggerian phenomenology is a phenomenology of the embodiment of the light. And this phenomenology also uses cutting through phenomena and gazing, which is gazing through into the light of phenomena, the light inherent within phenomena, within all phenomena. That's what we started off with, that phenomena. So here I'm focusing in, and I go into the light within me, and I start experiencing that light. Then through that light, I start focusing on Elizabeth, and I can feel the light within her. That is not simply my own projection of the light. The light meets the light. Or as it says in the Yeshe Lama, that can book, the inner yin meets the outer yin. And then non-duality manifests. So gazing within to within is the full embodied gaze. This is a co-emergent experience of the co-emergent gaze. In the language of Christianity, this is the beatific vision. This is the vision of the light gazing into the light. Another paragraph, the body of light. The openness of the space of the radiance of awareness is the path, and the radiance of awareness is the path. So the openness of the space of the radiance of awareness is the path, and the radiance of awareness is the path. So they both are path, space and the light. Our embodiment is a mass of light, and its center is the radiance of the central channel, like a luminous pillar of white crystalline light. And within this channel, at the level of the heart, there's a radiant glistening, like the moon and the sun. And there's a mingling of our mind with this bindu, with this sphere of luminosity. And that then the mind-awareness continuum becomes one, and we become experientially indivisible. Say yes if you understand that. Within this fiery light of awareness, there's within the navel center blazing with light, moving upward, the spanda of the energy of the awareness, unfolding into the innermost heart opening. And then through the openness of the heart essence, there's this upward movement through the palate of the mouth, opening through the inner chambers of bliss, luminous bliss extending up to the forehead and opening to the Brahmananda doorway at the top of the head, the crown center, and into the sky, bringing forth the vast sky-like awareness. As Mr. Ma mentioned today, we're very fortunate having such a great Qigong master. And so he's bringing one of his friend teachers next week, and who will do the same thing, connecting the sky above and the earth below into that thing. This is his particular great capacity. For those, we only have room for those who come regularly to Qigong. For those who want to come, who don't come, maybe we'll put a thing upstairs. You have to be very quiet, no noise, no grounging around, and then you can participate upstairs on the computer through the because you need space for this guy. So just the people who are here today, but the other folks can come and you can do it. He starts Qigong at 9 o'clock. So if you want to come, you can come. I didn't ask him this, but you have to be very quiet upstairs, okay? No talking, and we'll put that upstairs. But you follow how these different traditions fit. So when you have the different experience coming to the same point, then there's a validation, because and it's actually in statistics you actually have this. There's a co-validation when you have data coming. One experiment doesn't mean shit, okay, but when you have it conjoining for various sundry experiments, then you actually have. There's actually studies now. They're doing studies on all these very famous experiences. There was one famous experience, and sure enough, it doesn't mean shit. You with me? It's only when you have numerous experiments that there's a validation arises. Same thing with this other stuff. So the top of the head, then the crown center opens, and then and into the sky, bringing forth sky-like awareness. Luminous flesh. Nectarian liquid-like energy, so now we're into the flesh, flows through the embodied awareness, intensifying the light and the empty spaciousness as bliss, and the spheres as bliss. The flow of nectar and heat from the intensity of the light dissolves. The flow of nectar and the heat from the intensity of the light dissolves and metabolizes demonic-like energies. Negation, just negation itself, obscurations. You can think of not Winnicott's work, but beyond negation, these mental illnesses, negations, right? It's a psychoanalysis of negation. Beyond's work, same frame. Obscurations and dark propensities, and so the person becomes more and more the embodiment of the light. Say yes if you're experiencing this. You are more and more. So the dynamic strength of wisdom gnosis, wisdom awareness, is becoming luminous flesh, becoming the embodiment of the light. And for me, this embodiment of the light can happen for everyone and everyone. The particular thing for the rainbow body is great, but sometimes that stuff is really useful because it has showtime quality to it. You with me? And showtime is really useful. We always like showtime, right? I love showtime. You with me? And it can have a showtime quality. You with me? And so for me, and it is not necessarily it's not a have-to thing, okay? That just what's left over is a few little nails and hair, okay? It's great, though, because it gives you great confidence, right? So the resurrection of not having Jesus' body there is really a showtime moment. You with me? It's showtime! And it's great. But that is not, that is, to have that as your be-all and end-all is a big distraction, it seems to me. It's showtime in the Mauna Kea, and it's great to have showtime. We all love showtime. I'm loving the election stuff right now. It's so much showtime. I can hardly believe it. Anyway. So anyway, we'll keep. A haruka. So if you wish, you can experience the luminosity. I don't want people to confuse, though, these showtime events which is available to all human beings. And that happens in the mythologization of realization. There's a mythologization goes on here. And constantly of religion mythologizing that which does not have to be mythologized. It's part of its entertainment value. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful sense. I mean, I think most things in this world have entertainment value. You know? War has entertainment value. Horror has entertainment value. You know, sex has entertainment value. There's intrinsic and then there's the entertainment value. And just walk around looking at things for its entertainment value sometimes and you'd be amazed and thrilled. So if you wish, that's why, if you wish, you can experience the luminosity within the center of your own heart. And this luminosity manifests within your heart or between your eyebrows. You can experience the luminosity dissolving and purifying the elements and de-densifying the obscurations and becoming the embodied awareness as light. As you experience this embodiment of luminous awareness, you're experiencing the intensification of the luminosity by being in union with non-dual awareness, with your own self, and with another person or persons. Or even traditions. You can be in non-dual awareness with traditions, right? And lineages. And familial fields. Through the echo of resonance, and the mutual transmission of light, the light becomes fuller, and you can experience the deepening capacity of the great compassion, which is the embodiment of the light and the natural unfolding of the extension of the light, not only into each other, but into everything and everyone. That's why if you want to enliven where you live, you should extend the light into the physicalness of your house and the physicalness of your car. Both the near and the far are within awareness. Both the near and the far are within awareness. Completely near without distance. So then our friends on the internet, Kathy there. So if we focus on Kathy, which we'll write now, as she focuses on us, both near, completely near, and completely far. Right? Completely near and completely far. Little used. We're rather big. And the same thing with the thin field of death, the thin, near, totally near in awareness, in mind alone, abyss, untransmovable abyss. This inside-to-inside experience is direct and unmediated. Awareness is both local and non-local concurrently and simultaneously. So you have this issue of time and timelessness and place and closeness. So both time and place in the awareness state have two different dimensions. Say yes if you're understanding that. The Sambhogakaya dimension, manifesting the unveiling of the energy, the winds and the viscous drops of light and the undulating pulsation, is most direct. Sambhogakaya is the place of the unification of Nirmanakaya, high, and Dharmakaya. Sambhogakaya is the intermediate area. You can look at it as a transitional space between He and the Dharmakaya, pure potentiality. Intermediate area, right? That's why it's really useful to know that area. Nirmanakaya and Dharmakaya dimensions are the primordial ground of awareness. Now, this is very important, at least from my mind. Of course, if you do not practice being within awareness, and if you're not open to this praxis, and do not have any understanding of this praxis, this lack does not prevent you from experiencing the luminosity of awareness in a pre-reflective state. That's how many people live. They live in pre-reflective states in the light. Experiencing the luminosity of phenomena in whatever you are experiencing does not depend solely on your reflective understanding the depth and breadth of your own experience. Raise your hands if you know that. You really want to know that, right? Then it keeps you out of seminar prejudices, religious prejudices, philosophical prejudices, and other such forms of entertainment. Your experience is still powerful and still self-liberating. That's why it's all natural, beyond mind, ultimately. Reflective understanding is not necessary for self-liberation. Self-liberation does not depend on religious beliefs or philosophical beliefs. Self-liberation is beyond our mental assumptions. Now, it's great if you have some assumptions that can support this. It makes it easier, you know. You follow what I'm saying? Just look at people. Just look at stories of people. Vast amounts of courage, but have no philosophical support. Just human courage, which is self-illumination, which is light. So it's tricky, religion, isn't it? It's tricky. It can start to be it can be both a source, an opening, and it can be a block to direct experience. The body is the medium of the field. Our body is the medium of the field of radiant awareness, and embodiment of the field is the source of resonance of the field. Our embodiment of awareness field allows the body to be the medium of the field. So my body is both the medium, but my embodiment is allows my body to be the medium, and says the natural mediumship of my body allows me to embody the light. The embodiment almost done. We should stay awake though, okay? The embodiment resides in the channels. There is a potential that arises and manifests through the openness of our channels. And the more open your channels are, you'll have that translucent experience, right? The body's nature abides within the channels. So the intrinsic nature of the channels is the self-radiant of innate wisdom. The intrinsic nature of the channels is the self-radiance of innate wisdom. So that all these channels, that's why you study different things and it's different channels here and different channels there. Like where's the real channel at? The channels themselves are the light. And depending on how perception is holding it, that's where you'll experience the channels. You with me? So the intrinsic nature of the channels is the self-radiance of innate wisdom, innate primordial awareness. The nature of the channel is extremely subtle, clear light that primordially abides as what is called extremely subtle body, subtle embodiment. The ordinary human body becomes the embodiment of the light. The origin of the mind of awareness is the bindus. There's awareness and there's my mind of awareness, right? So these bindus are circles of light, spheres of vortexes, light, spheres of light. The light will appear as you gaze into the sky and will appear spontaneously as you gaze into everyday phenomena and will appear spontaneously into meditative practice. That's why painting is such an extraordinary method, I always remember going into the museum and what's the train station museum? It was one of the most powerful, energetic experiences I've had. I actually had to leave from it. All this light arising out of these paintings, and paintings of doorways and just filled with the light of the perceiver. Just like when you hear a chant. And the chant has power because of the singer's voice. You with me? Because the light is there. Or the words, the same thing. The light, the painter's perception is there. Totally cool. Totally cool. So these spheres, S-P-H-E-R-E-S, will appear as you gaze into the sky, and will appear spontaneously as you gaze into everyday phenomena, and will appear spontaneously in meditative praxis. As we gaze inside initially, we experience only nothingness. Let me say this again. Hello? As we gaze inside, we experience only nothingness. There's nothing happening. Nothing here. And as we gaze outside initially, we experience only things. Oh, look at all these little things here. Nice things, but things. Got it? Things. World is thing. As the gaze deepens and penetrates, both within and without, no thingness and thingness opens into lucidity. So no thingness and nothingness opens into lucidity, and things become no thingness around me or us. So the sense of lucidity and the translucidity of the experience of phenomena. So then lucidity is now translucidity. There is one lucidity between us or you and what you're experiencing. The translucid experience. Say yes if you're following that, right? And with that, totality opens, as Carol described. Now we're going to timeless awareness. Our gaze is initially located in time, and so we experience, I'm not talking about baby gnosis, because baby gnosis is also timelessness, and it grows into time. So initially baby life is timeless, and slowly but surely it enters into time. More and more. And that actually takes time. To a baby, a person is actually really located into time, which is finiteness. That's why finiteness arises. Really, when we're really settled into time, finiteness then appears, really and truly. And you have death awareness at that point. 4, 5, 6, you know? Say yes if you're following that. So our gaze is initially located in time, and so we experience time-bound awareness and time-bound lucidity. However, in time, time-bound awareness can unfold into the manifestation of timeless awareness. Our view may expand from time-bound awareness to the realm of timeless awareness. So the range of the human gaze is multidimensional. First we're gazing in time, and then our gaze unfolds into timeless gaze of timeless awareness, simultaneously in time. So sometimes it's just timeless awareness, and then we begin to hold time within timeless awareness, and then our range really then becomes multidimensional. And that is the essence of Dzogchen, is being in timeless awareness in time. Doable. And when you understand it that way, this is a doable thing. So timeless awareness becomes timeless gazing in time and in the circumstances of times. If you think you have to purify everything, that may not be the most powerful metaphor for you to use. It's a true metaphor in certain ways, in certain situations. And you can have certain results from that. But liberation, there's no one method of liberation. Even the Phenomenology said it's all very personal. So timeless awareness becomes timeless gazing in time and in the circumstances of time. So timeless awareness becomes timeless gazing in time and in the circumstances of time. Awareness can be both in time and in timelessness. The timeless time range is the range of our experience and our vision. The timeless time range is the range of our experience and our vision. This is within everyone and does not depend on virtue, merit, or religious affiliation. Who says those things? Longchenpa? Dorjen Lingpa. That's why virtue and merit is very useful. But from this frame, virtue will not liberate you. You don't have to believe any of this. It's good to think comparatively and hear things and decide what boat and how you want to be in. Sometimes you'll be in a boat that goes nowhere, though. But it's fun. Anyway, you follow what I'm saying? Virtue has its own rewards, and merit has its own rewards. And it's very supportive in life. It's not anti-virtue. And virtue does create energy. You with me? If it's not from the superego. If from superego alone, you're in preparation. We're in superego, you're in your preparation for fruition, but it never quite happens. Say yes if you follow what I mean by that. Madonna and child. Almost done. An example of the timeless gaze, and this is really for a preference to the Togao teachings and Dzogchen we'll be getting. Madonna and child. An example of this timeless gaze is the most ordinary of human circumstances, is the maternal gaze between child and mother. This timeless gazing is celebrated and expressed in the beautiful Christian paintings of the Divine Mother and Child. We all know those, Raphael and all these great artists, huh? And they pick up that gazes within. That's the gaze we're talking about here. The timeless gazing is celebrated and expressed in these beautiful paintings of the Divine Mother and the Child. And the power of the powerful and natural maternal gaze is made most explicit in the developed psychoanalytic view of Donald Winnicott, right? He opens up the transpersonal dimension in psychoanalysis in the most natural language and way. The timeless gaze happens in love, pure love. That is not a hallucinatory period, that timeless gaze. People think, oh, it is actually an authentic gaze. It may not be able to be sustained forever, but it is the timeless gaze of awareness. Say yes if you understand that. And this timeless gaze happens in sorrow. You see the same gaze in sorrow and grief. The timeless gaze happens within the aesthetics of art and dance. The timeless gaze appears in moments of war and in moments of death. Timeless awareness is completely intrinsic to the experience of living. We have to be careful about making events, particularly religious events, supernatural, allegocious. How does it go in that place? Supernatural. Allegocious, yes. Thank you so much. Has become more or less established in the realm of timeless awareness within time, and by being established in time within timeless awareness, the power of personal action arises from with timeless awareness into time and the circumstances of time. And you really see that in great yogis, right? And you see that in great people. Thus there is this capacity in great moments in people's ordinary life that opens up for them. Thus there is this capacity to extend the light of timeless awareness into time and into persons into time. Thus the power of the light infuses our body and our mind and our voice and the sense of subjectivity of awareness. And the power of the light can infuse the body and the minds of others. Our sense of self moves from being located in mind alone and shifts into the field of luminous, timeless awareness. Our actions can arise from timeless awareness into time. And this is empowerment in the truest sense. Now, where we began, the light of the heart of awareness as the light of the great compassion. The light of the inner heart essence, Hridayam, right, of awareness, is often symbolized as the light of the moon and the light of the sun. In all these texts, there's the light of the moon and the light of the sun. And it's whether it's in the beneficent texts or if it's in the protective texts. So that most of these texts either have two sides. One is the beneficence and the other is protection. And you'll see this over and over again. These are all the dimensions of the great compassion. The great compassion is not a simplistic sentiment or even simply an empathetic moment, as in the statement, I feel your pain. But rather compassion is the light of awareness manifesting beneficence within one's own self and within the self of others. This compassionate beneficence is of two dimensions. One dimension is the compassion of this pure love, the love of the mother, the motherly love of the moonlight, which comes through whether you're male or female. which is given from one person to another or to many. And in all these texts, too, the male-femaleness collapses into individuationness. Individuatedness, from this point, not unlike in Jung, is the integration of the male-female developments in yourself. And without that, there's imbalance, okay? One dimension is the compassion of pure love, the love of the motherly love of the moonlight, which is given from one person to another or to many. This is maternal love and the source of humanness. The compassionate transmission actually invokes beatific experience within a person or persons. You know that experience, right? The maternal compassionate transmission invokes the beatific experience with babies. You see that, right? Have you seen that? And this is the life and the gaze of the great compassion. No, it goes beyond babies too, through childhood, this beatific states. And then it can continue beyond childhood. That's why someone like Ian Chin would say, you should become a child 6 years old, because it's still there at the age of 6. So this is the life and the gaze of the great compassion. The luminous light of awareness is also the sun, the protective dimension of the great compassion. The light protects humanness. This light of compassionate protection is a blazingness which destroys obscurations within a person's mind and within a person's embodiment and brings forth the person's self-liberation. It brings forth liberation in us, that fire. The blazing light of compassionate inner heart essence also destroys circumstances. It can cut through circumstances that are evil and destructive of human goodness and the light of life of innocence, or the light of innocence. This fierce light of compassion dissolves circumstances. It brings forth unbearable cruelty and suffering. You read the life of Padmasambhava. He does that all the time. Destroying, huh? They try to set him on fire. As they set him on fire, they all start burning up around him. You with me? It's one metaphor for that. The fierce fire of the heart awareness provides, the fierce fire of the light of the inner heart essence undoes, let me go a little further back. Okay, yeah, the fierce light, this is fierce light of compassion, dissolves and destroys the manifestation of beings who are bringing forth such unbearable pain. The fierce fire, the light of the inner heart essence, undoes such beings and disintegrates their manifestation and liberates from them the darkness and cruelty. The light infuses behavior and infuses the experience of action. The fierce fire of the heart of awareness provides and is the courage of dharmic action. The fierce fire of the heart of awareness provides and is the courage of dharmic action, an unbound sacrifice for the love of others. And thus the great compassion is both the source of courage and is courage itself. Courage is self-luminosity. Unhappily, the contemporary understanding of compassion is often seen as a sentiment, or a simplistic affect, or even a form of good manners, or a graceful speech, or a wish, I wish you well. Such compassion understanding as the statement, do no harm, now I'm taking do no harm here, is also unhappily used to dismantle the protective light of the great compassion. Simplistic understanding of do no harm creates an unbound cultural passivity that allows the innocent to be murdered and tortured. The invocations of passivity and non-action creates the terrible ground for sadomasochistic thrills and trauma. Do you think sadism is thrilling? Sadism is thrilling. It's a big thrill. Big thrill. One of our best. And drama. It's okay. The luminous courage of the compassion action of protection is covered over and obscured by those forms of personal and collective character that collaborate with and encourage spiritual masochism. So you have to look into your own self and think about it for a week. Do you encourage masochism within yourself? personal masochism? And do you encourage it in others? And do you like systems that encourage masochism within yourself? A lot of institutions love masochism. You're writing a paper on this, aren't you? Are you being urged to courageous action? Sloth. This is not about you. Sloth is a lack of fire in the wrong way. Sloth is a lack of fire. The fire element is watered down. This is not you, this is me. It's us. Sloth. And Bhagavad Gita would warn against three things. Don't worry about golden women. A lot of times yogis are really worried about golden women, or women, they're worried about men and gold. Sloth. Bhagavad Gita said sloth. Sloth is the enemy of the yogi. Isn't that interesting? Yeah? Sloth. The fire element. Being ablaze. No, that's Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna were worried about golden women. Okay, they were his particular issues. He was, and he would speak about sloth, and sometimes he would talk about nepotism also. I know nepotism, right? Because stopping what blocks dharmic action. Everybody having a good time today?
Yes.
So let's just sit for a moment. Yes, please.
Could you help me, kid? How does do no harm lead to sadism?
Because when you do no harm, you don't interfere with sadistic activity.
Oh, okay.
There's a great book by Samantha Powers. Every year, every year, pretty much since I graduated, I read a book, at least one book a year, on genocide. One book a year on genocide, because I read all these wonderful things, right? Phenomenology, philosophy, light, bullshit, right? And I read a book on genocide. Now, Samantha Powers has a great book on genocide. Samantha Powers is a great person. I've actually known people who worked with her. Her book is on genocide. Anybody know the name of that book? I have it upstairs. Look her book up on genocide. And she's been the United Nations spokesman. You with me? And there's been battles between Samantha Powers and our president, right? Because she's always speaking about the genocidal aspects that are taking place right now in this world, like in Syria. Taking place right now in Syria, genocide. These are tribal battles going on. Genocide is tribal battles eradicating tribes, whatever that tribe is. You with me? It's like built into the genetic, psychotic aspects of us. So right now there's a genetic war taking place. You with me? And she would bring that up. You with me? And bring it up and bring it up. There was a thing. And Obama says, I've read your book. Enough of this. You with me? I've read your book. So this is a real issue, right? Compassion. That's why I'd like everybody to read the book by Durjam Lingpa on the mirror, his life. Who's read that book so far? The Clear Mirror. It's a book on the great compassion. You with me? And even I was stunned when I read it.
So you're talking about fighting back.
I'm talking about fighting for.
Oh yeah?
Fighting for.
Fighting for.
Fighting for.
Using means
That
fighting with.
yes, using means. This is why this is a warrior path.
Yeah.
And there's a warrior path. And how to integrate that, you with me, into your life and how to be efficient. But but you know, if it's only coming from your mind, it could be another formula of sadomasochistic thrills. Hegel, I'm just blabbering now, in his great book, The Phenomenology of Consciousness, really one of the first truly phenomenological works, okay? Hegel is a great, great master, influenced everybody. First 5 chapters are how personal consciousness is related to the absolute. None of this is new, right? And Western philosophy has this as much as Eastern philosophy. The first 5 are how personal consciousness, personal awareness, is actually the embodiment of absolute consciousness. You with me? And the second 5 chapters of his 10 is on the master-slave relationship. You with me? And how close that is. Over and over we find ourselves in the master-slave relationship. Look at Brad Pitt. So, so anyway, I'm trying to entertain myself a little bit at this moment, okay? So the master-slave was a form of sadomasochism, right? Just for a moment, think of the different masters you've had in your life. Just for 2 minutes. Sure, you've had some masters. Yeah, just think a little bit. Think if they're still your master. The master-slave relationship, huh? Is the word God your master? Think about it. Think about it. Think about masters in a proclivity to sadomasochism. And deep forms of sadomasochism are suffering for the sake of love. So it's really tricky at times where compassion is in this protective frame and when is it masochism. These are all very personal questions. Yes?
A problem from hell.
That's it. Thank you so much. That would be a great book for you to read. Say it again.
Samantha Powers?
It's an exquisite book. It's one of the most dramatic and brilliant books. I have to know someone who was up there in New York, still with her, but the battles she has been through on this topic, on these topics. So with that, let's close our eyes for 2 minutes. And let's sit with each other. We'll focus with each other right now. You can just turn to a companion. Now, so we have 2 practices. One is people are practicing writing together right now, correct? Have you chosen your partner yet to write? Have you chosen your partner to write? So maybe next week we'll have our partners chosen, okay, to write?
I thought it was to meditate. To write? Oh, okay.
You can meditate with them, but
The purpose is to
the
write.
purpose is to share your writings with someone, because writing is a very difficult thing for people to articulate your experience in words. So let's go in. Can you feel the light of the moon and the light of the sun within yourself as you hold this with this person? Can you feel them both? Whatever the archetypical that you like, however you formulate that, would you bring that archetype within yourself and invoke that archetypical dimension, whatever that means. There's no one way of doing it, right? Now I'm going to pass the microphone to the left side again, where we left off last time, where people can again articulate their experience of different dimensions of the archetypal. Okay, if you've already shared, just pass the mic on. But if you haven't shared, you should articulate whatever that means for you. I'll give it to Skip, because this is where we left off first. When Mary was here, we did the right side.
Did you already talk last
the
time?
left side. So, yes, Skip, would you mind sharing? Did you share it last time?
No, I wasn't here.
Last week you weren't here? Oh, why don't you share that? Archetypal experience. And you can hold it with your friend, because two awarenesses are better than one.
So,
Were you here when Mary was here?
yes.
Okay, that's just that. People are just bringing forth some of their, how do they experience the archetypes?
So there are two seminal experiences that I've had,
Okay.
and they both appeared in the form of dreams.
A form of what?
Dreams.
Okay, great, thanks. Dream is a major way.
And the first was before I knew you, before I knew Marilyn.
Mm-hmm.
And the dream was I was at a beach. At least that's what I thought it was. And there was this huge party going on.
Cool.
And this swarthy, dark guy that I'd never seen before, with most piercing present eyes imaginable, sought me out. I didn't seek him out, he sought me out, and gazed into me, and then pointed to this beautiful, beautiful woman and said, "She's for you." And at the time, I was sexualizing everything in the world, so I thought this was supposed to be a partner of some sort. And she grabbed my hand, and we went running over a sand dune to this huge bonfire where there were a lot of other people singing in a language I didn't understand and dancing. And then she just brought me into the dance, and I went into bliss. Years later, I was at South Fallsburg in the tent, and they were doing the whatever it was, like, don't be present induction, which didn't sit well with me. So I turned around and looked to the back of the tent to think about leaving. And here was this huge picture of Baba. And there was that dark, swarthy man who showed up in my dream
Totally cool.
and restarted my spiritual life.
Fantastic.
And then the second dream that I had many variations of is sitting near a pond with my legs crossed. And I'm simultaneously sitting at the pond, sitting to the side watching, and then someone comes up and decapitates me. And I go into immediate bliss. And I've had that probably 100 times.
When you tell me that dream, what arises for me, the question is, who is the headless one? Which is sheep. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. The first time I had the dream, it was terrifying, and after, it's kind of like, well, let's go.
breathe has a particular quality to it, non-K normal. Most of his transmissions in terms I'm sorry, most of his, I'm sorry, yeah, most of the, many times the archetypical comes, the moga is in dreams. For instance, Nam-K Nubo, most of his experiences and terms that he's teaching come through dreams, all of his, and they're very sequential and they come over and over again. And so you want to get the feel of and one of the feelings is that there's luminosity to the dream. Whatever that means for you, you might think, oh, that's a luminous dream. You with me? But it doesn't necessarily mean more bright light. Thanks. And next person, you want to share an archetypical experience?
I think this may be archetypical. What I wanted to share was also a dream meshed with the reality. Twice in my life, I can remember this overwhelming anxiety. I've certainly had anxiety more often than that, but this very overwhelming, buzzy, can't stand it, do anything anxiety, and all of a sudden it would just break and there'd be this amazing calm and nothingness and clarity at the same time. So the dream that I had was also recurring. I don't have it anymore. Probably stopped 5 or 7 years ago, but I'm witness to a racetrack of sorts. There's it's like pig pen dirt going around it, and then all of a sudden it becomes very, very calm, and it just circles, and there's just this immense just beingness of calm. And so what I want to add to that is today when you just said imagine or have the sun, feel the sun and the moon. For me, the sun was coming down and the moon was coming to the side. It was a hologram. It's circling around, similar. And when you said pull in the Dakini, it doesn't come as a person to me or a living being, but it's liquefied silver with stamps and meaning, and it's just there as potential.
Would you just tell me by stamps you mean what? You see that
Like symbols or hieroglyphics or something.
Now, to me, as you describe that, okay, there are particular. This may or may not be true, but as you're describing that, there are certain, they call them Dakini texts or letters, and you see this. It's like a letter, usually either silver or gold, and you'll see it, and it has some words on it. To me, that would be a Dakini text. You with me? And to see a Dakini text is really, really cool. You with me? Thank you. Let's pay attention to the two people behind you, unless you guys shared last time. Did you guys share last week? I did. She did. Oh. So the Dakini texts appear, and they just come from nowhere, and there'll be some kind of gesture, but there's a text. And if you see, look like a little text, or a little piece of liquid, or a thumbprint, or a little tiny thing, but there'll be some hieroglyphics in it. That. And then sometimes people who have really good eyes, they take it, they copy it, and they go bring it and have it translated. Or sometimes these letters just arise spontaneously in a person too. It's considered really a manifestation of the relationship with that dimension. Yes, please.
I did share 2 weeks ago, but I today listened to you. Everything you said was within the context of what I had experienced that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the understanding of it, the illuminating of it, is wonderful. And also the whole process of timeless awareness in painting solves the mystery of where did that come from? How did I do that?
Isn't that such a question for the artist?
Yes.
Where does this come from?
Yes.
How did I do that?
Yes. Or how did he do that, or did she do that?
How did she do that?
Yeah,
How did he do that? Totally cool, isn't it?
totally.
Thank you so much. We love having you here. I'm going to pass it down to the left. That way, that I think everybody's going to the other side because that's where people. When Mary was here, we did one side, and then we did, and we're working everybody today. Bye. Au revoir. See you.
And so I love in the empowerments, there was a particular empowerment. I love when they're speaking before the translator, the speaking in a language I don't understand. And one time on the third day, and I don't remember who it was, on the third day in the afternoon, all afternoon, coming out of the Lama's mouth, or whoever it was, I don't remember, instead of syllables and words and sounds, I opened my eyes and flowers, the words were turning into flowers of many, many, many colors the whole afternoon, and they were dropping down onto the people's heads and into their bodies.
Very, very cool. Timmy Norbo has a book on flowers, okay? Flowing of the flowers, and he describes that in a particular lineage, those flowers often it could be any of the Tibetan lineage, but also the Dzogchen, the flowers just flow, and it's really a blessing to see the flowing of the flowers. Fantastico.
And I just wanted to say that my experience in watching the words turn into flowers, there was some doubt at first, but my whole physical body was completely still, and I felt at one with the flowers and the words and the whole teaching, and everybody in the room feeling included.
Beautifully described. Thank you.
My first experience, as Mary was speaking and what was coming to me a few weeks ago, was really my first experience of the archetypical was as a child through the elements. And what I was aware of, what came to me then, is that I would have this experience of a very felt presence with wind, for example. I might, if there was sort of chaotic things happening in the home or whatever, I would have a respite up in my bedroom, and I have this real felt sense of the presence of just gazing through that window, a beautiful maple outside, and feeling the presence on the wind just moving in and out, and the tremendous felt sense of that element, the wind, as this very soothing, very connecting, very expansive presence. And I also felt it very much with rain, where, there's a lot of thunderstorms in upstate New York in the summers. And as a child, I remember just either being on the porch or being in my bedroom and just having this exquisite experience of just the rain and the deep listening of that, whether it was a thunder, whether the wind was moving in, or just that water element kind of coming down, and just really feeling into that in deep, deep ways as a child, and how that really gave me a sense of presence and that archetypical dimension. And then more recently, I would say, certainly when right now, as we've had that experience of both the the moon and the sun, and you've done the Dorje Drolo this morning. I felt such both the fire and the just, this beautiful moon extension through my body. But more recently, I'm thinking of at the Moonlam Festival at Lama Norla's, when the Yunja Rinpoche gave the White Tara, and I had this amazing experience of feeling White Tara really coming in, just so present, this beauty, her serenity, this kind of just this white, very felt presence, loving presence, coming right down through the top of the head and just coming into my whole being. And really, I felt so embodied and so connected with her, and really just seeing her as I speak that. And so I feel very fortunate to have that, to have these experiences. So
Beautifully described so well. Thank you so,
Thank
so
you.
much.
So first, I just want to thank this experience because it's very powerful to hear everybody's experiences. For me, it started long ago with music. That sort of comes through, channels, comes out. And about 7 years ago, see, something's happening. I began, when I closed my eyes, to see geometric patterns, very, very intricate and beautiful and alive, moving, and they morph into. And it's sort of my own showtime every night now. I have it now. And I began to explore this and Googled, sacred geometries, and it's been a really thrilling adventure, actually, to explore what sacred geometries are, and then to travel through Europe in May and see the flower of life everywhere, and find people like, I don't know if you know Nissim Harriman, who has taken physics and has explained how we are black holes. And anyway, so it's just taken me on this wild ride.
Thank you so much.
I'm thinking about how things get lost and forgotten so much, and how much there's actually been over all these years. But the thing that really comes to mind is the way I met Baba in a dream. And I had a dream back around 1974-ish of this man coming to me who had a bald head and was some kind of swami, some kind of being who touched my shoulders. And out of my shoulders came all these waves of energy, and feeling a peace that I had never, ever even come close to experiencing. The next day after I had this dream, I was in California at the time. Some people came through who were going down to Oakland and were going to see Baba, who I had never met, actually, except in this dream. So I ended up in the middle of the night, practically, driving down from Mount Shasta to Oakland and walking in the room in the first intensive, and there was the man from my dream. Totally clean. I had seen pictures of Baba with hair, beard, but this was the man I had seen in my dream, who I had not recognized, clean shaven, and, head and face. And when I went up to actually go up in the darshan line to meet him, my sense was that I could, put my hand all the way through him, because he was a body of light. And none of these ideas were anything I had any notion of. I had no background in this. He was just pure ethereal. I mean, he was totally like total light being. And then back in those days, we used to get touched a lot in the intensives, and I, during that experience, saw past lives. And when I opened my eyes, the whole room was just full of light. Total, total, total light. So then I thought, praise the Lord, I've seen the light, you know, and it's like, that must be what that's all about. And
Rudy, can I ask for something? I'm having a medical procedure tomorrow at 2 o'clock, just for everybody's support, like between 2 and 4.
Focus on Diana for a moment here. But we're going beyond our minds. To timeless awareness. Feeling that elongated state. And then we extend to her. So the other little thing we've been talking about is people writing, and I asked everyone to pick out a companion who you have correspondence with. Okay, like, does it have to be a lot? I wrote one paragraph on this. This is what I'm writing on. And so you have someone who is a companion in your creating and bringing forth some articulation of an understanding or an experience. Okay? And then you can see, is that a useful endeavor for you? Being in awareness with another person. If you do want to come that Sunday, you should really let us know today. Then we're going to open it up a little bit more. Okay, great. Thank you. So we have our little group. I don't think we have any. I might have a few more guests come, but right now we're closing our little seminar for a while. We have a lot of people here, and if you can start getting too many people, it becomes a crowd experience. Okay. Thank you, guys. See you later. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Hasta la vista. You look nice. Hasta la vista. Bye bye. I'm thinking two things. I might be doing that paper on causality. Then you might, if you want to write a section on physics and causality, where cause becomes a field in physics. If that appeals to you, you with me? Don't take any burden though. Or the other one, at some point, it is with your own paper, bonding as a field phenomenon, and taking it out of the narrow linear causal point of view. That'd be really cool. Is that okay with you?
Yep. And how there's been a de-evolution in my one way of looking at it from Winnicott
Yeah.
to attachment, where the field phenomena has disappeared.
Okay. That'd be
And
great.
then to bring the field back in.
That would be really cool. Thank you.
Next week is next Wednesday is Yom Kippur.
No problem.
So I'm not going to be here.
That is great. Have a good time.
Thank you.
Make
Well,
it
whatever.
good.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Skip.
Huh? Did you get these socks you gave us?
Physics part. The physics part we were talking about would be fun.
That fits for you. And you know that stuff at some level. Thank you. That was such good timing. I didn't have the paper with me.
I sent it out to my clients, so I have it on my email.
Thank you. Pulled it out wrong. Work. Thank you so much. Good timing.
Shana Tova. Shana Tova.